So thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. It's the fourth of the SEO Best Practice series. The goal of all of these webinars is to just talk about SEO, and get you to see how we optimize websites for our clients. You could do some of the exact same things we do as well. So I'm trying to get the GoToWebinar thing out of my way so I could see my slides. Looks like I'm good. All right. So today's topic is I'm going to go through our top 10 favorite SEO tools. Actually, at the end, I squished an 11th tool in here. So it's to talk about the tool, give you a little bit of an overview of how the tool or site works, as well as to give you a couple little hidden gems that we might know about and how we use each of these to optimize our clients' sites. So without any further ado, let me double check that I am recording this. Alrighty. And I am your host, as always. My name is Steve Weber. I'm the Director of SEO here at Pepperjam. The agenda for today, like I said, is to cover these 10 tools, as well as give you a chance to ask any SEO-related questions that you have. I don't see today going longer than 30 minutes, but if you stick with us, we will get to questions. And if at any point in the webinar you have a question or want to chat in a question, feel free to use the question and chat panel. I have my colleague Cameron here to my left. He will chat back answers or let you know if that is a good question that we'll save to the end. So recapping really quick the first 3 lessons. Every month we've been doing an SEO webinar. The first one was focused on an overview of SEO, and with any of these you could check out the recording in the YouTube video link that I have at the bottom of the slide. But if I had to summarize each of these webinars into one statement, the first one would be that you can win at SEO by focusing on your users and the action that you want them to take on any given page. For the second one, we focused on site speed, and we went through a deep dive of what the Google PageSpeed insight, what the scoring, and what some of the optimizations are really saying in layman's terms. So check out that webinar in lesson 3 to learn how to optimize your website to become a little faster, because if you build your site slow, people are going to bounce. They're not going to use your site for what you originally intended. And the third one, we went into a little more in-depth detail about Google Search Console, as well as some of the ways that you can monitor and improve your click-through rate from the Google search results. So at the end of this, we will send out the webinar along with the slides so that you could click on all of these links and watch the recordings as you have time. So here's a list of the tools that I find to be my 10 favorite. These are in no particular order by any means, other than the order I'm going to display them in this slide deck. So for any of these tools, some of which there are free versions, some demo, and a handful of these tools are paid subscription based. I tried to do my best to give you an alternative free solution so that anything we talk about during today's webinar, you'd be able to jot down a couple notes and begin using something remotely similar to one of these 10 tools. The slides are going to be laid out like this, where I give you a screenshot, talk about a couple bullet points, and for a couple of these I'm going to jump out of the slideshow presentation and give you a live time kind of demo of how I use the tool. But the first one is an SEO spider. It's called Screaming Frog SEO Spider, and whenever you hear the words SEO and spider, it's synonymous with crawler, and that's exactly what Google and Bing do to create their index of their search results. So they have a technology, a spider of their own, which crawls the web going from link to link to link. So when it discovers your page, it discovers a next page on your site by crawling through a link or going through their technology called a spider. The neat part is you can purchase a license from this thing called Screaming Frog SEO Spider. The subscription for one license is 99 British pounds. That's why I have that conversion down there in the lower, kind of in the middle of the screen for you. But at the moment, that's about $128 to use this tool completely and every feature that it has. The neat part is if you wanted or had a small site and only needed the crawler to go 500 pages deep, you can use Screaming Frog and most of its features for free. So I do encourage you to download Screaming Frog. At the bottom of this slide, I give you a decent alternative that will crawl your whole site for free. That's called Beam Us Up. But for today, I'd like to talk about Screaming Frog and some of the things I like about it. And the way I use Screaming Frog SEO Spider is in our audit process. So any client site, any domain really that we're going to take a look at, what we do is at the top of Screaming Frog, I'm trying to get to Screaming Frog so you see it. We put in our client site here at the top. In this case, I'm doing some competitive analysis. We look after that really tries to rank for sandals, and Tiva is their competitor. So you type the domain name in at the beginning, and then what the crawler does, it wasn't completely done. It goes out and it discovers new landing pages. You could see down here the total filters going up as it discovers new pages and gives me the title, description, as well as logging what some of the HTML of that page is. So this data really becomes priceless because you're able to see things at a 10,000-foot view to see, do you have any broken pages? Are all of the pages in the natural navigation of your website a live status code 200 page? Are you linking internally to any redirected pages? You know, for a couple of years there was this SEO debate on internally linking through a redirect, how much link equity you're actually losing. So in your own HTML, for example, if you were to link from page A to page B, but over the course of time you've redirected page B to page C, if you left that internal link to page B when really it was going to wind up on page C, you're doing yourself a disservice. So if you're working on a website or want to look at a competitor site that is massive, this tool really helps you see all the little idiosyncrasies that you wouldn't be able to see if you were looking at a page-by-page basis. So I can't say that this is the best absolute SEO Swiss Army knife tool to use, but I could say this is certainly one of my favorites. So if you do get the chance, check out Screaming Frog SEO Spider. It lets you see the description, keywords, heading tags, find out where you're optimized, where you're not, as well as look at any domain you want to. You could look at your competitors. So I do think it is worthwhile to check that out. Like I said, it lets you find broken links, audit redirects, analyze your metadata. You can discover duplicate content, as well as if you want to bring in HTML attributes through the XPath, you're able to do that. So if at any point in the future a new element like hreflang, for example, gets added to SEO best practices, you can look at sites and pull in attributes that aren't natively part of Screaming Frog. So in a sense, Screaming Frog is kind of future-proofed itself. But with all of these tools that we go over today, I really wanted to call out what my favorite feature was and how we use it. And my favorite feature is the ability to paste in a list of URLs. So we spoke about how this is a spider, but think about if you had a list of URLs, like let's say you only wanted to check the status code on 10 URLs, or copy all of the URLs that are in your sitemap, and only have Screaming Frog look at that, it could do that too. What you would need to do for that is you go up here to Mode and then List, and yeah, I don't mind if it cleans my results out here. You could either upload a list, paste it in manually, or just have it download a sitemap. So there are a couple neat ways that you can use Screaming Frog SEO Spider. So going out of order, the next slide I was supposed to give you that demo. I feel like we could skip it because we already looked at it. The next tool that I want to call out is one that's often just skated right over. And I know in our previous webinar we spoke at length about Google Search Console and all of the great search analytics that live inside there. But it's worth noting Bing's got a very robust tool suite that's available for free too. So it's bing.com/toolbox/webmaster, and what you want to do is verify your site to get all of the great insight that lives inside here too. So it's a lot like Google Search Console, formerly known as Webmaster Tools also, but what it really does is very similar to what Google shows you. It shows you how Bing is interacting with your site. It shows you if you have any errors, any redirects, any backlinks that are new that come up, and just anything that would need to get your attention through the lens of Bing.com. It also lets you submit sitemaps as well as throttle if there's a certain time you want the Bing crawler to come to your site, or discourage it through, say, business hours. If your site is getting a lot of traffic, then this is the Bing configuration panel where you're able to do things like that. And the one feature that I want to call out as my favorite is that in addition to telling you which pages you have errors on, if there are any 500 level errors, which means you're not giving Bing access to see the page, or if there's any broken 400, like a 404 page. What it also does that I think it does a better job than Google is it gives you the count of links for that error. So if you're like my team here, what you try and do is really be meticulous about keeping the errors to a minimum, but a lot of times that's not really possible, and it might not even be the most important thing you need to focus on that week. But by having a count of links, you're able to prioritize how important the error on that particular URL is. So you can see for reef.com in this screenshot, there are a lot of 500 level errors, but only 2 of them that have any remote count of backlinks or internal links. And this top one here has 31. So by the time you get to number 3 on the list, none of them have links pointing back to them anyway, that it's probably not the most pressing as the natural navigation and sitemap for this domain update. But these top 2, you most likely will want to get to sooner than later. The next tool I would like to call out is an enterprise tool suite called Conductor Searchlight. This thing is awesome, and I have Cameron here to my left. He's chuckling. We love Conductor. So one of the favorite things I like about it is in the screenshot to the right. So Conductor rank tracks keywords that you put into it, but also what it does a fabulous job at is it calls out and discovers new keywords that you want to add to your keyword portfolio to keep track of over time too. And this rainbow looking graph that's in the screenshot, it gives you an idea broken up in hypertraffic, which is positions 1 through 3, and then it categorizes them, them being listings and your keyword results, into buckets like traffic is position 4 through 10, striking distance opportunities is anything on page 2, so on and so forth. And in these colorful views over time you could see, am I ranking in positions 1 through 3 more often? Am I falling off? And it's a really high level view to keep your finger on the pulse of the keywords that you actually care about. And there are a couple other really neat features inside Conductor that make it worth checking out. One of which we like and we recently started using more often is the business case. So in Conductor, it will show you and it gives you the ability to add in your own click-through curve. And what I mean by click-through curve is saying, okay, on example.com, if I have a non-branded keyword on that domain, in position 1, what is the average click-through rate for position 1? What is the average click-through rate for position 2? All the way through position 20. And in Webmaster Tools, you could see this data so that you could update Conductor Searchlight and really learn where your opportunity is and which keywords you should focus on. So it's neat. It'll show you where you might not have image alt text optimized, where you might want to tighten up on some optimizations over another. And if I had to call out one particular feature out of Conductor Searchlight, which I just think is awesome, it would be this thing here, which I put on the next slide. It does a great job of showing you who owns the market share for your particular keyword portfolio. So for this example, we're looking at a site that sells food online. And for the keywords that we put into the system, into our portfolio to track, we could see 36% of the time out of that keyword portfolio, Wikipedia is the #1 result. Neat. I'm probably not going to have luck in the short term outranking Wikipedia. But if you look at that second domain, the 18%, foodnetwork.com, there is power in knowing who is dominating the search most often. And if you have a higher domain authority than that first, second, or third domain that's just dominating it, those are, think of them like your role models more than your competitors. If you can do each search result a little better, if you can make your landing pages that much better than each of these domains, you kill it. So what I like most about Conductor Searchlight is the crystal clear visibility in knowing for your keyword portfolio, or in other words, the keywords that you care about tracking, who you should try and go after, mimic, or do a better job than. So check out Conductor Searchlight. Oh, okay, some of you are asking about pricing. Being that we're on the agency side for Conductor, I have no idea. I'm not even going to lie to you. I have no idea. Our clients, they get to use this particular tool suite as part of working with us, so I wouldn't even be able to quote what this looks like. But as a follow-up for me, I will, whoever shot that question over, I will get you every last little bit of detail about pricing and get back to you. For a couple of these other tool suites, they've hit me up with promo deals, but this one in particular, I called it out because it's one of my favorites, but I will say it's also probably the most expensive tool that I'm going to talk about today. That being said, I also use something similar that I am able to give you a price tag on, and it is linkdex.com. So Linkdex is very similar to Conductor. It's a smaller team, and the tool, I would say, ties in a lot of the features of some of the other tools that I'm going to talk about today. Like my favorite tool, rather than keep you guessing to the end, I would say is SEMRush. And Linkdex does a really good job bringing in some of the neat functionality of SEMRush, some of the rank tracking features of Conductor. It lets you get graphs like you see here on the right side. But what makes Linkdex a little bit different than all the others is that its core focus is on backlink data. So you're able to track your domain, your competitors' domains, and see where they're getting new backlinks over time, seeing what type of content is getting created for your site, for your competitors over time, so that you could mimic it or do a better job than your competitors. But LinkDex, they actually did hit me up, and they let me know if there is interest in 10 publishers, they could do, this is all potential, they could potentially do a deal with us where for $60 a month, you could track 700 keywords as well as your domain and 2 competitors. With that, there's going to be monthly crawled link data. So that's going to give you backlink info as well as a crawl picture, just like we saw with Screaming Frog. So they're quoting $60 a month for this promotion, but with this, it's all contingent on if there's enough interest in the Pepperjam affiliate network. So if you are interested in this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect just a list of you. If we have more than 10 people, we'll move forward with LinkDex, we'll get that deal, and we'll get the ball rolling. So I don't really want to halt progression for any of you as you get excited about these tools, but this is potentially a good deal. So if you are interested at all, shoot me an email, and I'll see if there's enough interest that we can capitalize on this great deal together. So they're saying $60 a month, 700 keywords, rank tracking, crawl data, things like that. So just shoot me an email in the subject if you could please just use that subject line, LinkDex for Pepperjam. I'll see if we have enough interest to really get that going. I think it's a good deal, but check out some of the other tools that we have still in store to talk about. So the next one, it's awesome data. It's since Google went in and made not provided part of the keyword data that gets passed through in Google Analytics, I think one of the areas that you could get total visibility into the ways and phrases that people are searching to land on your site isn't gone. It is from Google, and it's in Google Search Console. It used to be Google Webmaster Tools. So in there, under search traffic, there's a section called Search Analytics, and it's completely free. You get to see the past 90 days worth of data for the first 1,000 queries that someone would search on your site. We did an entire webinar covering this thing, so I don't want to go into too much detail, but you could check out that YouTube video, which is the recording of our last webinar. I show you how to use all of the neat filters to look at queries and pages and combinations of the two. I don't know how we can go through an SEO webinar talking about neat tools that are available without calling out at least one of the tools from Moz. So Moz Pro, I think, is a very awesome collection of tools, and rather than go through all of the Moz tool suite, because I know some of you are already using Moz, I'd like to talk about Open Site Explorer. So Open Site Explorer is a search engine where you could at least get visibility for free, but to be able to download and use some of the other Moz tools, you're going to want to get a subscription for. And Open Site Explorer is a search engine for links. So let's say you have a competitor that's also selling sandals, like we do here with rainbowsandals.com, and we want to outrank them for men's sandals. So what I do is I throw it in Open Site Explorer, click Just Discovered Links on the left side, and over time I'm just monitoring where are they getting backlinks, because I can also contact some of these publishers and work with them to create content that's very similar for my client. So Open Site Explorer is worth checking out too, as well as some of the other Moz tools. Google Spreadsheets. So Google Drive. Cameron here to my left, we do a lot in Google Drive. There's some neat add-ons like the Google Analytics add-on, which lets you pretty much never have to go in Google Analytics again. And one of the things we do for our clients is just create a dashboard that updates each and every single day with the metrics and KPIs that we care about to know if we're getting enough traffic and enough revenue per day. And one of the sites I'd like to call out ranktank.org, Sean from Greenland SEO. He's made this whole interface website of just templates and tools that we can download, make a copy of, and use for free. So if you get the chance, check out ranktank.org. A lot of the tools that Sean has on that site, they port right into your Google Drive, and you're able to begin using them for free. He did all the dev work to create them, so it's worth checking out. Everything from rank tracking to learning where your dupe content is, it's all there. It's worth checking out. It's free. For an SEO webinar about tools, you got to talk about the grassroots too. So when we think about SEO, we want to rank our website and the websites we care about in all of the organic places in Google, Bing, and Yahoo. And whether you're using paid ads or not, up until recently, I had to update this deck as of last night, but up until recently, you were able to see all of Google's data to know for any given keyword how many times, roughly, approximately, an audience would search that phrase per month. And that data becomes crucial to SEO because things are phrased so many different ways. And sometimes you could say a phrase that's really easy to rank for. You can write it, and the moment you put it up on your site, you're going to rank for it. And Google Keyword Planner is just great at finding new opportunities. And a lot of the tool suites that we're talking about today port in the Google Keyword Planner data. And why that's important is because I saw this update as of the 13th. Google is officially throttling Keyword Planner data. So basically in this article, it's saying that AdWords users, which you would need to be an AdWords user with no ad spend to even get into the Google Keyword Planner. You don't, up until recently, you didn't have to fund the account. It would show you all of the data. But what this article is saying is that Google is going to begin throttling the visibility into that data if you spend very little or nothing at all in your AdWords account. So I don't know that this is a means to panic just yet for the SEOs of the world, because we have so many other ways and keyword tools and just other ways of getting keywords that it's probably not that big of a deal. And I would say no cause for alarm yet. So we did our second webinar all around Google PageSpeed Insights, where I explained what each of these consider and should fixing areas really mean. And I got some great feedback on that webinar. If you missed it, check out the YouTube video. It goes in depth on Google PageSpeed Insights. But the general idea here is Google gives you a score, not necessarily for how fast your website is, but how fast your website could be. So let's say 100 out of 100 means you've buttoned up every potential area of your website so that it's as fast as it could be with what you have live on that page. As you can see from the website we have here and we're testing, that's not always the case. So if you think about wanting to rank more for non-branded terms, when it's between you and a competitor that's much faster, you have to look through the lens of Google and say, if all things are created equal and I have a very similar landing page, very similar domain, similar backlinking structure, site speed is going to be the tiebreaker between you and your competitor, because Google wants to deliver the best result for the people searching. For us, we search. We don't want to wait around for pages that are slow. So I've looked at patents that Google has published, and that's exactly what they're doing. They are making these site speed scores as part of their algorithm, but they're not yet primary ranking factors, but rather they're secondary. So it's worth getting your optimization scores as high as possible to improve your conversion rate more so than anything. So when you do get to 100 out of 100, are you going to be ranking right out of the gate? Probably not. But will you be converting better than you would be at 59? Absolutely. So it's worth checking out that webinar we did in the link below. So before I said my favorite tool is SEMRush, and given what we found out about Google Keyword Planner, I wanted to hop out of the PowerPoint presentation and show you how we like to use SEMRush for keyword research. So this is SEMRush. I'm probably logged out because I've been talking for a while. No, it looks like I'm still in here. So still thinking about trying to rank one of our sites that we look after is Reef, but one of their competitors is Tiva. So I want to steal some keywords and figure out what Tiva's really doing well at, and are they ranking for any keywords that might be easy. So this particular account is an SEMRush Pro account, and off the top of my head, I think this is running me, I think somewhere between $150 to $200 a month, but there is a $100 a month lesser version, which gives you visibility in everything except for this. You're not able to go back in time. In here for today, we're going to focus on organic keyword research, but you could see this tool suite does a lot. Everything from rank tracking to comparing domains, just giving you backlink data, just giving you insight about almost anything you would need to do very well in the SERPs. What we're looking at right now is a download of all of Tiva.com's organic ranking keywords. Actually, I can't say all. I could say any keyword between position 1 and position 100 in the desktop results of Google. And you can change it up other nationalities. Like you could look at Google UK, you could look at Germany. It's got mobile results in here. It's got data for Bing. But where you're going to get the most data is in Google US. And how I like to use this for keyword ranking purposes is really right here. So SEMRush has a score for keyword difficulty, and they say it's an estimate of how difficult it would be to rank in organic search results for that particular keyword. Like most SEO scores, higher is going to be harder. So with a keyword difficulty of less than, say, 60, you probably have a chance, and there's probably less competition. Actually, saying you probably have a chance, I have no idea, anyone out there in the audience, if you're working with a domain that's a domain authority 60 or higher, that last comment was not directed at you. It was directed at the rest of us who are still optimizing and still building our site's equity up. That any given page we put up on our website isn't going to rank out of the gate without a little bit of work. So let's use these advanced filters here to find some non-branded keywords that Tiva might be ranking for. So it lets you add a couple filters. So I'm going to add a filter here that gets rid of all of Tiva's branded terms. And let's say we want to focus on long tail terms. So it lets you do number of words. We could say greater than 3. And the reason I'm doing greater than 3 is because I want to quickly find terms that are easy to rank for. And I could say search volume, whereas volume is going to need to be greater than, I don't want to waste my time on anything that's searched less than 200. So I'll say greater than 200 searches per month. And finally, we'll do keyword difficulty of, let's say, include less than, say, 65. Let's see what comes back. I haven't done this search yet. I've done one similar. So I'm not sure if there's any low-hanging fruit in here, but you get the idea for the example. Include, exclude Tiva. Yeah, so my searching didn't result in any keywords. You could take You could take it as an example. I was hoping we'd find some great keywords for you guys here in the footwear niche. Yeah, something's wrong with my filters, so I need to slow down and figure out what that is. Include number of words greater than 2. Include search volume that's greater than 2. Include keyword. I guess all of the keywords that they're ranking for are difficult. Okay, so I found one easier to rank for a keyword that has decent search volume. So, for example, it came up with kids shoe size chart. I don't know that that's really a keyword that's close to the buying process for you, but it does show, based on some filters, you could really uncover where your competitors' low-hanging fruit for your site might be. So play around with SEMRush, play around with the filters, and what I will say is also look at your own site. There's value in being able to download your own top 100 organic ranking positions, because if you have terms that are in position 2, 3, or 4 that just need a little bit of a boost, that little bit of a boost to get to position 1 might be something as another internal link or another piece of content that internally links to that particular ranking page. And that could be all it takes to boost that page up. So SEMRush does a lot of great things for organic keyword research. Check out that low-hanging fruit idea of internally linking for anything in position 2, 3, or 4. And I do have one more tip about those filters we did. So in SEMRush, let's say you found filters that were just really working for you. What you could do is copy and paste the URL, and anything in bold, all you'd need to do is change that out. So if you wanted to look at these particular filters, and I wanted to change the domain to maybe thefoodnetwork.com and remove any keyword, any branded keyword that contained food, you'd just remove Tiva out of this URL string and tiva.com here out of the domain, change it up, and then you could do this as many times as you like. So SEMRush is awesome for keyword research. I did squish in one more tool that I guess this would be my top 11 tools, and it's from websiteadvantage.com on an Australian domain. It is an SEO consultant, but he's got some awesome free tools on his site as well. So check out this URL, and what this thing does is it lets you put in the URL that you're trying to optimize, and then you could either acquire the title and description that are in the URL already if the page is live, or you could simply type it in right here, and based on the pixel width restrictions on google.com, it's going to give you a sample of what that title and description looks like on Google. So it's an awesome tool when you're doing meta tag optimizations. So if you're focused on your click-through rate and you're wondering what your new title might look like, or if it might get truncated, check out this URL and use this free tool, because it's going to show you exactly how it would look in the SERP. Actually, it's not going to show you exactly how it would look in the SERPs. It's going to show you what it most likely will look in the SERPs. The best way to see it in Google is to put it live and see what it looks like in Google. So are there any questions? If there are any questions, please use the questions chat box. I know we did get a question about pricing on Conductor. I'll reach out to my rep and I will reply to you personally, whoever had the question. I'm sorry I didn't inquire about that for the slides. I will say that's the most expensive tool just off the top of my head that we did discuss today. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to type any questions you might have. And then, of course, like we do every month, we are hosting another SEO webinar next month. And for the next one, I was kind of scratching my head thinking, what could we discuss for a half hour that would provide value? And then it occurred to me, why not just kind of walk through an audit process? So we use a 20-point SEO checklist. There's not really too many things in the checklist that you might not know already, but I think what makes our spin on it unique is how we reply to these questions that we ask ourselves in the checklist. So for the next SEO webinar, the 5th one, which you can sign up for with this bit.ly link in the lower left corner, we're going to give our checklist away and hopefully walk through an audit. If any of you have any domains that you want us to look at or use as an example in any of these webinars, I would be absolutely grateful. A lot of the times we work with client sites who would rather we didn't share their data as we went through these examples. So if any of you don't mind or want a couple SEO tips for free, please shoot us a chat message or email me. It's sweber@pepperjam.com. My name is Steve Weber. There's only one B in my last name. Shoot me a message, because if we could use your site, and I have permission to do so, it'd probably be better for all of us all around, and you would get some free SEO tips. So Cameron, are there any questions? No? You guys have been an awesome bunch. Thank you so much for listening to our webinar today. We are going to sign out. It looks like there are no questions. So once again, thank you guys. Take care. I feel like I should say psych right there, because it didn't actually hang up and we got a question. If anyone's still around, we did get a question that says, what is the best tool that you'd recommend for a newbie? So I would recommend start with the freebies. Start with Google Search Console and all of the great search analytics that are available to you for free, and also Bing Webmaster Tools as well. So it's bing.com/ I think webmaster, that might be plural. When you get a copy of the slides, all of the URLs are in here, but I would say check out Google Search Console, Bing Webmaster Tools, verify your site with both of those, and download Screaming Frog SEO Spider and just let it crawl through the first 500 pages of your domain. If you're a newbie and your domain's less than 500 pages, you just got the full picture of what's going on your website. So I would say Search Console, Webmaster Tools, Screaming Frog if you are a newbie. And if you do have a little bit of a budget and you want to invest in an SEO tool suite, I would check out ranktank.org for a lot of the free tools that are there, for sure. It's free. But if you did want to invest in a paid tool, SEMRush is really neat, as well as hit me up about LinkDex, that $60 deal that they're saying if we can get 10 people interested in that deal. If that actually goes through, that would be really helpful for you as well. Okay, someone asked, do I have any tips for ranking higher in Bing and Yahoo? You know what? I actually do. I have a very, very good tip to rank higher in Bing and Yahoo. So Bing and Yahoo, Yahoo is actually powered by Bing. So set your site up in Bing Webmaster Tools, and Dwayne Forrester, when he worked at Bing, he dropped everyone a gigantic hint, and when you hear what this hint is, you're going to be like, oh, duh. But what he said is a sitemap, when you submit it to Bing, it can't have anything incorrect about it. And if it's completely correct, or clean in other words, Bing will trust that sitemap. But if it isn't correct or has any errors or redirected URLs in your sitemap, or if it's old or outdated, Bing will not trust it. And if they don't trust it, they have to go out and crawl your domain on their own. So the best tool I have for Bing is, let's take Dwayne Forrester's advice and make sure your sitemap.xml, the one that you submit to Bing, is filled only with live URLs that give a status code of 200. If you're thinking in your sitemap it's okay to have a redirected URL, like, oh, I deleted that URL, but that's okay because it hits a redirect, that is not a URL you want to waste the search engine's processing time with. So once again, best tip for Bing, sitemap that's completely clean. And that might mean that you need to work with your developer a little closer to ensure that there's no margin for error once a page is gone. See, I just had to give you guys some time. Now you're adding questions into the queue. Okay, there is a question that says, any suggestions for, and it looks like he put his domain name in. I would need to look at your site, so if in the chat window you could just let me know, for future webinars, would it be alright to use you as an example or two? Unfortunately, we're running out of time, and I wouldn't be able to go to your domain right now, but I will make a promise to you that if you attend our next webinar, I'll use your domain for an example. Would that be all right? If so, just let me know in the chat window. So as we wrap up here, guys, I know a lot of you did drop off once we said we were going to hang up. Okay, thank you for sending the chat window. We will look at your domain for the checklist webinar. So that's on September 13th, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and we'll use your domain. I'm going to jot down that note so that I make sure I don't miss it. All right, guys, you've been great. Thank you so much for the great questions. Thank you for listening and attending this webinar, as all the webinars in the past. So we are going to render this down. We'll put this up on YouTube, and we'll send you all an email with the recording. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.